Hello and welcome to episode 105 of the Dunks Movie Corner podcast, Dunks Movie Corner pod, whatever you want to call it. That's what this is. That's who I am. If you're new, again, starting at episode 105, I think is pretty odd, but you're welcome to it. If you're not new, you know that this is a quick little recap of what I watched in a week, if that's TV, if that's limited series, if that's movies, whatever. And then at the end, I kind of just give a recap of the week in general. If you're looking for something more substantial, I'd say check out the Movie Bros, which is a longer form discussion between my brother Hayden and I, where we pick one movie, talk about it, all that jazz. And I think I've said this before in probably both podcasts. The goal of these are not to quit our day jobs and become podcasters. It is not to get a huge following. If you want to listen, great. It is mostly an excuse for us to talk to each other, because he lives far away and we've just have different lives, and so this is just a common topic that we can actually discuss. And then this is just kind of a supplementary little blurb added on to it. So either way, if you're looking for like high production value or like, I don't know, an actual pod, I don't know, I listen and watch other things and I'm like, oh, ours is substantially down here comparatively to them, and that's okay. Again, I'm not looking for this to be a big thing. Either way, so this week, I think, let's see, last week I talked about Stay Hungry, Free Time, Submarine, International Falls, which means looking at my Letterboxd, which if you're not on Letterboxd, this is a like IMDb meets social media, so you can log the movies you watch, you can rate, you can review, you can see what your friends are watching and things like that. I enjoy it. Some people I know use it, some people don't. It took me a long time to convince Hayden to use it. That's a whole nother topic. But so this week, I believe, looking at my diary, okay, I think, let's see, that was released on Tuesday, which is, okay, so I think this week I am starting with, I think it's Blue Moon. Yeah, I think it's Blue Moon. So Blue Moon is a 2025 release. This is from Richard Linklater. This is, and again, if I talked about this last episode and I've completely forgotten the week, sorry, it's going to happen again. Richard Linklater, Ethan Hawke, a fairly specific topic of like 1920s or 1930s musical writers and screenwriters and like theater. If Ethan Hawke was ever going to win the Oscar for Best Actor, granted, obviously he can do another, well, I mean, I think he's a good actor and he could be in other things that could get him nominated, but this year, like, seeing his performance on this, it is pretty Oscar baity, but also like the movie's 2 hours and change, I think, and it's just him as his character sitting in a bar, almost an entire movie length monologue. Like, it's just him. I mean, he talks to other characters, but it's pretty much like 85 to 90% just him. So it's impressive. I think the movie itself is pretty. I think it's a little, so Richard Linklater is known for making movies like the Before trilogy, so Before Midnight, Before Sunset, Before Sunrise, those movies, where it's very just conversation based. There's not a lot of actually things happening, there's people talking. And I think those work a lot better. It's really like, if you're really paying attention and you know the subject matter, the writing is good and it's interesting. But if you're the general population, I don't think you're going to get a lot out of this. It definitely feels like it's meant for a specific group of people, and I'm not inherently that group, but I'm also not that group, if that makes sense. So again, I think it was good. I don't think I would recommend it to everyone, and B, it doesn't need a rewatch. So there is that. It also includes, just so you have a reference, it includes not just Ethan Hawke, but in minor roles, because it is mostly just him. Bobby Cannavale, you'd recognize him. Andrew Scott is a bigger name, or becoming a bigger name now. And Margaret Qualley has a minor role. So there are people that you would probably recognize, but that are on screen for just a couple minutes. From there, so I watched Nuremberg. This is the 2025 as well released. It was in theaters, but I think it mostly landed on streaming. It's long. It's like 2.5 hours. It is almost, yes, I think there's some dramatization, but mostly like not shot for shot real life, but like it's fairly based on things that really did happen. The Nuremberg trials, which is post World War II, the US, France, Britain, I think, and Russia all were like, hey, we should make like universal laws for how to try someone for war crimes, because some of these guys did like horrific shit during the Holocaust, and they're, instead of just shooting them, that seems like not enough for like the crimes that they did. And that way we can set a precedent for the future and also show the world like, hey, these are not guys that we want. Like, this is not behavior, and this is not citizens that we want in our society. It's good. It's not a, you don't feel great after watching it. It's got Russell Crowe as the main Nazi bad guy who's on trial. He's kind of the main leading person opposite Rami Malek, who is his psychiatrist in the movie, in a minor role, which again, he's popping up more and more, and I'm glad he's getting actually out there, is Leo Woodall. I've talked about him in Tuner. He's on the list to be in The Hunt for Gollum, which is the new Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movie that is coming out. So the few things I've seen of him, I do like him in. You also might recognize Michael Shannon. He's like the lead prosecutor for the U.S. John Slattery, Richard E. Grant, Colin Hanks, so Tom Hanks' son. You will recognize people in it. Some of this stuff, part of it was interesting to watch because I think, so this is late 1940s, I believe, at this point, 1940, like 7, when it's set. So, we're talking about like 80 years ago. And then, if you've been out of school for a while and you haven't taken a history class in a while, some of this you either have forgotten or we just never really talked about in depth. So it was just interesting to learn about. I know there's like a subculture of like, why do all men get interested in World War II at some point in their life? Maybe that's their Roman Empire. Do you remember when that was a thing? The whole like, what is your Roman? And like everyone has their own specific thing. Either way, it was interesting. Hard to recommend because they show some pretty horrific footage, and I'm pretty sure it's just the actual footage they showed during the trials. So I didn't rate it. I did rate Blue Moon as a 4 out of 5, just so people have a reference. I did not rate this because I felt like it was just a hard one to rate. Didn't really know where to put it. So that was a bit of a heavy watch, and then from there, I was looking at my watch list on Letterboxd, and I was like, man, there's all these movies that I want to watch that are either on a streaming service I don't have, they're not available from anywhere, which means I can't, I have to like pay just the actual rent it. The circumstances were just, I could not find it somewhere to watch, either downloadable or online or whatever. So I, shout out to the Seattle Public Library, the SPL. I just requested a shit ton of movies from the library. I was like, oh, they technically have a copy. And sure, it might take a while to get to me, but eventually when it shows up, I'll just, I have an Xbox that I haven't used as an Xbox in a long time, but basically use it as a DVD player. So I have a DVD player, so I requested a bunch of movies, and of course they decided to all be available at the same time. So I got a stack of like 9 movies, and of course once you get them, you only have an X amount of time to watch them before you have to send them back. So with that in mind, I've been trying to basically watch at least one of these movies per day. So if you're following me on Letterboxd, or sometimes I even post it on the Instagram page for this podcast, you're like, shit, Duncan's watching like a lot of movies. Well, that's because no, I wouldn't normally plan on watching all these, to be honest, at this rate. But I'm like, oh, if I don't, then I have to get back in line, and it's a whole fucking thing. So with that in mind, and some of this is a rewatch, some of these are our first time, like The Blues Brothers, 1980. I've seen it before once or twice. It's fun, it's good, it's crazy. I just had not seen it in a long time. I saw a little bit of it on cable TV at work. I was like, oh, I haven't seen that in a while. Let me put it on the list. And then I was like, yeah, let's just get it from the library. It's fun. I think if you take it for what it is, just an enjoyable, like, musical adventure, to say the least. John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd are great leads. And it's crazy that they also got people like James Brown, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, like some big names in music at the time. This is 1980. I think this is after Aykroyd had been on SNL for a bit. But yeah, very fun. If you've never, it is very late 70s, early 80s as a movie, but Very, very enjoyable. From there, I watched something called Freaky Tales. This is from 2024. Now, the context of this, I've only seen the same clip online from it over and over, and it's the movie itself is basically broken into 4 chapters. Each chapter is like a smaller mini story set somewhere around Oakland, California in the, I think it's 80s or 90s. And it's just weird things happen because they're in the town of Oakland, and there's like green lightning. But the weird thing is, yeah, the fun little chapters are fun, and at the end they eventually mix together, sort of, which I thought was kind of, I don't know if they stuck the landing, but the cast on this is so crazy high. Like, it just doesn't, like, the directors are known for, like, they've done some things. Like, the director did Half Nelson, which is one of like Ryan Gosling's first movies. They directed, and it's a pair of directors together. They did Mississippi Grind with Ryan Reynolds. They've done Captain Marvel with Brie Larson. But beyond that, they have not, I mean, they're not like huge names, but the cast on this, like, you might recognize Jay Ellis from New Girl, Pedro Pascal, Ben Mendelsohn. You might recognize Angus Cloud, R.I.P. You might recognize Marshawn Lynch. You might recognize Tom Hanks, which is in the clip that I've known. And if you've heard any of this about this, the clip that where he is a used video store owner, and he goes on this huge monologue to Pedro Pascal about what the most underrated movies of all time are. It's a great clip, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to watch the movie. The movie as a whole, I think some parts worked, some parts didn't. Either way, so there are, I think it was a fun watch. I don't know if I need to rewatch, and it's over the top, cartoonish in some ways. Yeah, so the cast, crazy. The movie, I don't know. From there, again, I'm trying to work through these movies. That's the only reason why there's this many. This usually and this is on top of my normal, like, I've just been busy, so my sleep schedule's also been kind of fucked because of this, because I'm trying to squeeze in this stuff where I can. Like, for example, yesterday, I had plans in the evening that had to get rescheduled, and instead of actively doing something, my body's like, oh, you have been forsaking us for too long, so I passed out at like 7:45 and woke up at like 9 a.m. So, long sleep. Long sleep. So, that's, I don't know, that's something. But from Freaky Tales, which I would give like a 3.5 if I'm being generous. A Fistful of Dollars. This is the first in the trio of the movies from Sergio Leone. So he's only done 7 films. Obviously, if you look at his discography, whatever you want to call it, the movies that he's made. I can't think of the word now. I'm totally blanking. And also, he's been dead for like basically like 35 years, give or take. He was kind of the guy who really initiated the spaghetti western with Clint Eastwood. So you might recognize A Fistful of Dollars. You might recognize Once Upon a Time in the West. Most people might recognize like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's his first movie that I've only seen 2 now. I didn't realize that The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, while in itself is like almost 3 hours, and it's good. And the characters are interesting enough to where, like, I didn't realize it was technically the 3rd in the trilogy, but they're all kind of standalone. So it goes A Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, and then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But I watched the 3rd first, and then realized, oh, there's other 2 that are technically part of this. So that's why I went back and watched that. It's much shorter than The Good, and the Bad, the Ugly. It's only 99 minutes. It is a much smaller story. Clint Eastwood as, again, the same, like, one solo Yankee in this town of Mexicans. And it's him, like, playing kind of, because there's 2 sides of the town. He's kind of playing them both against each other, and then he gets caught, and then it's him trying to survive in the, like, aftermath of getting caught. It's very good. There's a reason why I think Hayden and I even talked about this on one of the episodes of the Movie Rose a couple episodes ago, where, like, is Clint Eastwood a good actor, or was he just in movies at a time where you didn't actually have to act a lot because he was just kind of the grimacy, cool guy Western dude? And yes, I think this still lends to the fact that like he doesn't do a ton of acting in this, that he doesn't actually have to emote. He is kind of just the cool guy. That being said, I still enjoyed it. I still think it's good. Maybe he just got the job at the right, like things just lined up at the right time. And there are other movies that I've seen him in where like I think he like Heartbreak Ridge is where he's on the older side as a like old army platoon instructor that they had to like, bring back to learn how to like teach a new. It's got a lot more I think heart and nuance to it than this does. This is much more straightforward Western. But if you haven't checked it out, any one of the Dollars trilogy, I can't remember, or Fistful of Dollars. I don't know what the actual terminology for it is, but check it out if you can. And then from there, I watched a movie called Warfare. This is from 2025. Boy howdy, this was, so it's as much as a like recount of 1 2-hour stretch basically of a Navy SEAL mission in Iraq as possible. The director worked firsthand with one of these survivors. Notice that I said one of these survivors because, well, shit happens. And the reason why I watched this, it's the director. You might recognize Alex Garland, who did Civil War. He did Annihilation. He did Ex Machina. He's done big movies, and this was kind of under the radar. So it came out last year, and I don't know if a bunch of people saw it. It's got the lead roles are a ton of young men actors that I think are becoming more and more well known. I don't really want to Kit Connor, Will Poulter, Michael Gandolfini, so Noah Centineo. It's again tongue tied. The too much sleep maybe is throwing me off, but either way, so it's again a full cast of like a bunch of Navy SEALs in Iraq in 2008. They were supposed to do reconnaissance for it's a sniper team. And again, this is all that afterwards they like in the end credits they showed like, oh, this is how we made this story, because this is the actual night that they are based off. These are all the people these guys are representing. It's interesting is it's in real time, so every minute of the movie is exactly how long the minute. There's no stopping. And that means that the movie has a opening scene where it's all the dudes together, like happy, enjoying a video before they go out on tour or whatever in like the barracks. And that's the only like happy part of the movie. The rest of the movie is basically nonstop. There's no music, and it's not like, oh, you cut from scene to scene. It is basically just continuous. Yeah, obviously there's cuts. It's not one continuous take, but it definitely feels like it is just the next hour and whatever is just we are in it. And I think it makes a lot of use of, just because there's no music, it makes a lot of good choices when it comes to silence. Because I think too many, and Hayden and I have talked about this a lot, where like sometimes movies either use too much music, don't use enough, or when there isn't music, I don't know, they don't use the silence in a good, effective way. And I think this really does. Yeah, it was good. It was a stressful end to an evening. I was like, man, I guess this is just how I'm ending my night. And not just like Nuremberg, because it's so real. I find it really hard to rate something that I'm like, oh, I don't know how if I like. Yes, you can rate the interpretation and the depiction of the actual events, but I feel it hard to rate the events that did. I can't be like, oh, these events were shitty because, well, I can't, like, it's not them choosing to have this happen or not. This is what happened. So I didn't rate it. So, and that's not, like, I try to not rate things or not review things. So if you look at Letterboxd, at least in the last little while, I've been trying to be pretty consistent about both reviewing and rating things. That way I can look back and have an actual idea of how I thought about stuff. But every once in a while, there's a movie where I'm like, this feels like a movie I shouldn't be reviewing or rating, or vice versa. Either way, that is everything that I watched this week, which, thanks for coming along on that ride. That was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies, which that's pretty good. I mean, yes, I know there has been times in the past where I've had like nothing going on, so I just watched a fuck ton of movies in a week. There are some weeks where I watch one movie, and so maybe this is a better balance, but this still felt like a lot for me this week. That being said, I know I'm already at 22 minutes, and I try to keep this short and use the last little snippet of this podcast as like an update on my life in general. But you know what? Well, we're already at 22 minutes. I really do try to keep this short and sweet. I don't want someone looking at this and it's like, oh, it's a 45-minute episode or whatever it is. So you'll just have to be in mystery for this week of what Duncan got up to beyond 6 movies. Jesus. Otherwise, that has been episode 105 of the Movie Bros podcast. Oh, Jesus. See, you can tell how far off I am. This is episode 105 of the Dunks Movie Corner, or Dunks Movie Corner pod or podcast, Movie Bros, which Hayden and I will be watching, reviewing, and talking about Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, which, if you've never heard of it, it is a movie of its time, is what I would say. So we are going to be reviewing and talking about that tomorrow and posting about that on Sunday, so check that out. Yeah, and I will talk to at or with you all next week, hopefully not super, super long.